Hey, we are live on YouTube. So, Alex, you are welcome to start the meeting.
Okay, we've got a quorum, looks like.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Very good. Well, good morning, everyone. It's a privilege to join with you this morning on this board meeting. Hopefully it'll be short and to the point, but we have some important items to consider. So appreciate you taking time out of your schedules to be with us. It looks like we have some individuals with us I'd like to acknowledge, and some I don't know, so maybe you can introduce yourselves. I apologize if we've met before, but I want to recognize that Brad, our great partner, is Brad Patterson. Looks like Laura was attempting to join. Well, somebody from Laura's office is there. How are you?
Hi, this is Nate Robertson.
Yeah, Nate. You're not Laura, but we'll take you, Nate.
Well, yes, I'm not as good as Laura. You know, there's only one Laura out there, but
yeah,
I'll do my
well, you're
part.
great.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, we appreciate our relationship with you. And then there's Mr. Vanderwood. Rob, who are you with? You're muted.
Yes, there we go. My name's Rob Vanderwood. I'm the mayor of West Haven.
Oh, very good. I was going to ask you if any of the good folks at West Haven were joining us today. So it's very nice to have you here, Mayor. And we appreciate the opportunity to partner with you. This will be a great experience for you. So
we're excited about it.
And for us as well. Anybody else that I've missed? Looks like we've got Jarrett from Santa Clara. Jarrett, we welcome you. And then Matt Jensen. And I think the rest are board members or staff. So
just riding shotgun with the mayor of Vanderwood. So glad to be here from West Haven.
Oh, very good. Matt, what do you do for West Haven?
I'm the city manager.
Oh, very good. Well, welcome. I don't know that we've had a chance to meet. That's scary. There's two Jensens on the line.
Need a few more.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. I've never been told that. We need a few less. But anyway, good morning to everyone. First item on the agenda is a set of minutes from the June 13th, 2022 meeting. I'll be happy to entertain a motion to approve or suggestions for additions or deletions to those minutes.
This is Nicole. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as drafted.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. A motion from Nicole. Is there a second?
Second. Oh, go ahead, Brand.
Okay,
Yeah,
from
Brant,
Matt.
either one.
Okay, Brant from Centerville. Thank you. Let's just do a voice vote. All in favor of approving the minutes as written for the June 13th, 2022 meeting, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, very good.
And just for a quick clarification, we have a board member in the room, Brenda Moore. We didn't introduce her, but she's in here. So her voice is in there on the votes and other things that she speaks up, but she's just in here in attendance. We also have Jeff Starkey. We'll talk about him later. And Chris, you can see her video. So sorry about that. Just want to make sure we acknowledge people in the room.
That's good. Thank you, Roger. And thank you for joining, Brenda. Well, the next item, that was a good segue, Roger. The next item is a resolution approving the appointment of Mr. Jeffrey Starkey to be the general counsel for UIA. So Roger, you want to speak to that and maybe introduce or have Jeff introduce himself?
All right, we have Jeff Starkey here. We went through we posted our position to backfill our general counsel, interviewed several candidates. Jeff Starkey did very well. You wanted to give yourself an introduction, and I'm happy to talk about you. But
ask me any questions you want. I'm from Northern Utah, but I've been in St. George for the last 30 years and had always anticipated moving back up to where I grew up from, and this gave me the opportunity. I've been looking just recently to come back up here and didn't really want to go back to a private practice with which I had earlier with Durham, Jones, and Pinnegar, and this was just a great opportunity, and the just the feel and just the excitement that's involved with Utopia, especially now, really lent it an easy answer for me to be able to accept that position here. So I'm glad to be here. Glad to see some folks from Southern Utah on the line too.
So we're really excited about him. He's got a lot of experience in municipal legal work, having worked for Washington City, but also working with the legislators, the bills, and that side of things. So kind of, we make our general counsel wear a lot of hats around here. So he's getting a crash course on telecommunications, which is typical. We don't usually deal with that much a lot at cities, but everything else he's come in very, very well founded and excited to take advantage of them. And are you busy? We keep you busy.
Well, yeah, I thought it was going to be a toe touching into the water, and it was more like a belly flop. It felt like the last couple of weeks, which I've enjoyed. And it's nice also to be up with to see Alex Jensen there. My brother had a golf course up in Alex's end of the world in Layton until about a year or two ago. So it's been fun to come back up. In fact, that's where I'm living right now, is up in Layton, and so it's good to be involved in such an exciting municipal or at least governmental entity as Utopia and UIA. So thanks, guys. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, very good. Well, thank you. Thank you, Jeff. It's good to have you and welcome you on behalf of Utopia, and I look forward to the opportunity to interact with you. I think you'll find, you probably already have found, but as you get a chance to meet the board members and the other partners that Utopia's had over the years, I think you'll find that one of the best qualities about the organization is the people. And that's what I enjoy. It's just a group of very good people, honest and hardworking and dedicated to their craft, whether it be in the cities or in the Utopia organization. And sounds like you'll fit in very well with us. So welcome.
Thanks, Alex. That's a pretty good summary of what the staff down here, how they refer to the boards up here, down here too. So it's nice to know.
Yeah. We have a resolution. We need to take action on that, Roger.
Yeah, we'd like to, confirm the appointment as an action item.
Okay. Would
So I don't
one
know
of the board
what we need on that. Roll call vote.
call it?
So
Yeah, we'll do
entertain
it.
a motion,
We'll
I
do
guess.
it. Yeah, we'll do a roll call. But anybody like to make a motion to approve resolution 2208, appointing Jeffrey Starkey as the general counsel for UIA.
This is Matt Dahl. I'll make the motion to approve resolution number 22-08, ratifying and confirming the hiring and appointment of Jeffrey N. Starkey as UIA's general counsel.
Thank you, Matt. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second from Nicole. Thank you. Let's do a roll call vote. Jason Sant,
Yes.
Brenda,
Aye.
Matt,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
Brand,
Yes.
and Leighton is an aye. Did I miss anybody, Krista?
No.
Okay, very good. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a very exciting item, and that is consideration of a resolution authorizing us to enter into, to issue bonds and so forth as tied with the partnership between UIA and the city of West Haven. Again, we have the mayor and the city manager here with us today. So Roger, would you like to speak to that background on this item?
Yeah, so we'll have a future item with the parameters resolution and setting the date of a public hearing and all the fun things that we do when we do these projects. This is the first step of approving the agreement. So the agreement is basically the services agreement, which provides the city pledge that is then used to secure more favorable financing terms. But probably more importantly, it's kind of the token of partnership that we ask of the cities that we partner with to go build their networks. So this will be, it's very much similar to the structure of other projects we've done, where we're not asking the city to take on anything outside of the incremental build. There's a nice benefit that we've already built into the city to some extent. Obviously, we have a good economy of scale. We've got a good operation here, and we're able to just kind of piggyback this project onto what we have. That offers the city a pretty low cost of what the project would be. At the same time, it is us issuing the debt, UIA, and we issue the debt, we build the network. We get revenues from that we use to pay for the system. But with this model, we've been able to have a lot of success. It's been really good for the partnering cities. It's been good for UIA. We're able to grow the market for ourselves and our service providers, benefit from the economy of scale. As you know, we haven't raised our rates. We haven't had to. So as we continue to add cities and expand this, we're able to continue to push down on that economy of scale cost, or the cost per customer type of thing. So it's been good for both new cities and us. And we see West Haven as a especially good city for this. It's gotten a little hard with some cities that we look at where maybe it's very expensive to build, or it's difficult to get to that city. We may have millions of dollars to build to that city. There's a lot of especially favorable things, though, for West Haven, and that is that we are already there to some extent. That offsets cost. They also are a very rapidly growing city, and so as we do this, we finance and build that first phase, which is what exists today. But because of how much growth is anticipated in that city, we'll be able to get conduit and fiber into as homes are built and as they grow. That's good both for us and the city. We can get the fiber and conduit into new development at a lower cost and get those customers. From the city's perspective, it lowers their risk because they're able to get the benefit of those subscribers and revenues that counts towards the revenue obligation or guarantee. So effectively, their risk goes down over time. It's also the soil conditions. We wish we had West Haven soil conditions in all of our cities, because it's a little bit away from the bench and the rock. We encountered that in West Point and some of these other cities where it's like drilling through butter. So it's a nice area to build. And so there's just, like I said, a lot of favorable things. Oh, one other thing that's very favorable in West Haven is that there's a lot of business there. So you may not think it just of the community, but if you were to look at the municipal boundaries and what's in and what's out, there's over on the east part of the city, there's a significant area of businesses. And that does help with the revenue and offsetting what's needed to cover the guarantee from the city. So it's, like I said, it's largely the same structure that we've been doing with all of these other cities. And we're excited for the partnership. The demand is really high. We see a lot of excitement from the city and the residents for the service, and we think we'll do very well there and provide a good service that they'll be happy with. I'd love to give them the opportunity to see what their perspective is. We've got the mayor and city manager on the line here, but you're welcome to ask us questions or ask them questions, whoever wants to speak on this.
Well, I'm happy to speak up. We have appreciated so far the partnership that we got started with. I think it all started back quite a while ago, about maybe a year and a half ago, but we ended up doing a survey within the city that Utopia did. We were glad that came across so positive. There was a lot of people that were really anxious to get this type of fiber out into the homes. They wanted to make sure that they had what they needed, especially the businesses. As Mr. Timmerman mentioned on there, we do have a lot of business. We actually support ourselves with our sales tax, and we do a great job, I think, of keeping up with everything that's going on within the city. So I'm just excited to get started. I'm glad we have butter soil out here that meets your demands, and not that rocky soil. But we've got some really good places and lots of new construction going in. I can't even tell you our balances out here that we have so much new construction that's been kind of holding off, waiting for the prices and so forth to kind of stabilize so they could start construction again. So I imagine with that happening right now, we'll see a surge in more building going in and getting that done. So we appreciate you guys very much and what you've done so far to help us get this.
Thank you, Mayor. We're, as I mentioned, we're excited to partner with you and look forward to a great win-win relationship going forward. Members of the board, do you have any questions for Mayor Vanderwood or Manager Jensen? Okay, thank you, Roger. I had just a couple of brief questions. You touched on the generalities, but what are the proposed? Is the target based on the surveys that needs to be met, the subscription rate target in order to cover the potential debt issuance? You calculated that yet?
Yeah, so it's a little different there because we have a higher ratio of business. And so we're kind of like, well, it looks like 45% or something if we didn't have any business. But once we factor in all the business revenue, that pushes it down to low 40s. Then we put in the anticipated growth just during the construction phase of the next couple of years. And that pushes it down close to 40 or high 30s. From a long-term perspective, it just continues to go down as we see more growth in that city. So the initial path of, oh, crud, we need to get 45%, I think we would get it. The demand is there, very good there. They actually have pockets of the city that don't have Comcast or CenturyLink. For whatever reason, those cities don't, those companies don't have any obligations to provide service citywide, and they choose not to, which is a little crazy. So the conditions of getting customers and take rate are actually more favorable than what we're typically facing in most of our cities. But even with that high target, those other aspects of business and growth come in and mitigate that. And we feel like from our perspective, this looks like a very good project, very low risk when we look at those factors.
Okay, well, very good, thank you. What is the anticipated size of the build in terms of number of units potentially in relative to other cities?
Yeah, it's 7,000 something locations that are serviceable. I mean, that doesn't match exactly where their utility services are, but there's different categories. We have some bulk, like apartment complexes. We have locations that we serve that are kind of one-offs, like for a tower or different types of businesses, things like that. So from our perspective, we're looking at between 7,000 and 8,000 potential customers or serviceable locations. But that's a very quickly moving target. Right now, some of those are parcels that don't have anything built on them, but are quickly getting turned into properties. And again, we put in a capitalized interest period of 2 years on this, which will start not today, but when we close on the financing, which is probably a couple of months out. We're going to be moving immediately on the project, so we don't wait around for that, but that gives us, a little more than 2 years to get this thing built out and get those target revenues. And even the revenues in that first capitalized interest period accumulate and act as a buffer, as another protection on this. But that moving target, it's kind of a crystal ball situation. I don't know if we're going to be looking at 8,500 or 9,000 addresses a couple of years into the future, but that's probably realistic. But that's about the size. For comparison, Pleasant Grove was about an 11,000 location network. Syracuse is 10 to 11,000. Clearfield was, I think, just under 10,000. So we're just a little bit smaller than those projects, but larger than West Point, Morgan, and Santa Clara, Cedar Hills. Those are on the smaller end, but not any less important. Every one of these projects gets a priority.
Okay, yeah, very good, Roger. Are there any questions before we move on to the next item from the board members? Brad, do you have anything you'd like to share at this point?
Yes, thanks, Alex. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the board today. This is Brad Patterson, Gilmore Bell. We have been bond counsel to UIA Utopia for seems like forever now, but that's a good thing, at least from my perspective. The resolution you have before you approves of the service contract. As Roger mentioned, we will be coming back at a later time with another resolution that authorizes the issuance of the bonds. Don't have all the details right now on what the parameters will be for the bonds, and so that's why we're not bringing it forth at this time. But I think that we're going forward with this resolution, as Roger mentioned, to show that we're invested in this partnership with West Haven, and so we plan to move forward with it. Just a couple of things to note about the resolution. First of all, it authorizes the service contract, and then it also it expresses your intent to reimburse yourself for expenditures incurred from this day forward, or looking back 60 days actually, to reimburse yourself with proceeds of tax-exempt bonds a little bit later on, so you can recoup some of those costs. That's necessary for purposes of federal income tax regulations. One other thing to note about this particular transaction that's a little bit different than the past transactions is that the backstop here on the service contract is a pledge of sales tax only revenues. In the past, we've done a mix of franchise taxes and 50% of sales taxes. We've done franchise taxes solely. We've also done franchise tax combined with utility sewer revenues. One of the reasons we did this was because of this provision in the Utah Telecom Act talking about this 50% limitation on sales taxes. We've been working through that over the course of the last little while. We've never done more than 50%. Part of the reason we've done that was because of the sales tax, and part of it was I think we were concerned about potential litigation that may be filed by some of the incumbents. We've talked through it, feel we have a really strong legal position to allow the 100% of the sales tax. We also, after discussion with a variety of different parties, feel that the chances of litigation is lessened somewhat, quite significantly from what it was back in 2011. And so that is a change that is in this particular service contract that hasn't been in past service contracts. And so I thought I should bring that before the board. And so if you want to have a discussion about it, we could.
Thank you, Brad. Are there any questions of the board or from the board to Brad regarding what he's just stated?
Yeah, and some of this was motivated in what the revenue position was at the city. They did have some franchise revenue that could have been used in the blend, but it wasn't a lot compared to how much capacity they had on the sales tax side. They're in a very strong sales tax position. For whatever reason, their franchise tax revenues were relatively low, and so they'll still have plenty of capacity in their sales tax revenues if they had other projects they wanted to do. So that was a pretty safe and low impact place for the city to pledge revenues. Again, we don't expect it to actually impact those revenues, but that's kind of the mechanism of the guarantee for the project.
Okay, thank you, Roger. If there are no additional comments or any questions, I'd be happy to entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2209 that authorizes and approves an agreement between the City of West Haven and the Utah Infrastructure Agency.
Alex, this is Derek. I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 2209.
Okay, thank you, Derek. Welcome. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Matt Dahl.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Let's do a roll call again. Brenda?
Yes.
Derek?
Yes.
Brent?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jason Sant?
Yes.
And Leighton is an aye. I believe that's unanimous. Did I miss anyone, Krista?
No.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you again, Mayor. You're welcome to stay on the call, of course, but again, we're delighted to have this partnership with you and look forward to a lot of success for both UIA and for your city. And Matt, you as well.
Thank you
We're excited about this.
very much. Thank you very much.
You bet. The next item is a financial update from Jason Roberts, our Secretary Treasurer. Jason?
Thank you, Alex. Let me share my screen really quickly here. Okay, can everybody see the spreadsheet now? I'm guessing. I'll move on as if we can. Just quickly, this will be a quick financial update. What you're seeing here is our June 30th operational results. I don't have our capital included on here. I'm still working through that. I'm trying to get a report that's much closer to what cash flow is and much closer to what probably a lot of you are used to looking at in your cities. With that, these are the numbers that just show up in my general ledger at the end of the year. There are still a lot of entries that will change. That will change these numbers from the audit. We'll have lingering expenses that come in July and August that are related to June that we're making entries for later. And there'll also be some different accruals that are made, but this approximates what's happened with cash flow and it's consistent with what we look at on a monthly basis. The first two columns here, they show the difference from last year to this year. And the second two columns show our projected year end, which is equal to the actual, what we're showing here, and what is the budget. So if you look at last year versus this year, our revenues are up by about $5 million and our expenses are also up $5 million. You will note that in the expenses, one of the things that we're including are the distribution to the Utopia UIA cities. And that number will be increasing significantly. It'll be going from 1.6 million this year. We have budgeted next year for $4 million in that amount. So that will be good, and that will help the cities cover a part of the amount that you are spending each year for the Utopia debt on the Utopia side of things. Next, down a revenue update. Let's hope this moves for me. There we go. This is just an updated revenue graph. And you'll see the three lines, bottom line's Utopia, the red line's UIA, and the green line is combined. So our revenues continue to increase. And the last chart here that I have just shows for UIA only. If you look along the right side, you'll see all the different bonds that we have issued. And the blue line is the revenues that we're receiving, and the difference between the top line there for the bonds and the blue line, that's the amount of cash that's being generated to help, theoretically in the long term, to help repay for the Utopia bonds that have been issued by the cities and in operations. So any questions?
Doesn't appear that there's any. Jason, thank you. Things continue to look good. We're happy about that.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe, Kim, are you still on?
Of course I'm on. Alex, I'm not on vacation right yet. I mean, probably in a couple hours.
Okay. I couldn't see on the screen the way that it was structured. So do you have any brief update on what's happening in the market, what the demand looks like, or how it's doing with just the inflationary factors and all the pressures on people's household income affected subscription rates, or is it held pretty steady? Or what are you seeing both residentially and commercially and institutionally?
Yeah, we're still seeing very steady growth. I think we are not seeing any decrease in new subscribers. I think what the pandemic did more than anything else is make this it's not a luxury. So people are not cutting back on their internet or what that means, because right now they need it more than ever, since a lot of people have really changed their behaviors, that not everybody's going back to the office 5 days a week. Most people are working somewhat at home. So yeah, no, and what we're seeing also is a lot of companies are paying for their home subscription service, their employees' home internet service. So that is also a benefit to us, because they need more of a reliable and robust connection, and they are not going to go for the low cost option. So we're not really seeing anything, and I don't anticipate us seeing anything. The only thing that is more worrisome is that you're going to see, I think you're going to see these competitors raise the rates and not lower them just because of the inflationary pressure on those companies. But no, I have good news for you today, Alex. I think everything is looking really solid, and I'm super pleased with this, what we're seeing right now.
Very good. Thank you. We appreciate all that you and the team are doing. In fact, all of the staff you could talk to in every area. It's a great team effort. So thank you. Roger, do you have, looks like the last item is a network update.
Yeah, I just want to say a few things related to that last question too. You know, we see the competitive options out there, and a lot of them are raising rates. You know, I don't want to ever say that we won't. At some point, we need to. You know, these are long-term projects. But the immediate future right now, you know, you look at the financials, we're like, well, we're doing really well. And, you know, our costs have gone up, our cost per employee. We've done increases to keep up with inflation. Well, not even, but we've done some increase, trying to chase it a little bit. But even then, you know, all our costs for materials, our contractors, everything like that have gone up, but we've been able to counter that by growing the network, adding customers, still improving things. So for the time being, we don't have any anticipated rate increases in our plan, and we'd like that. We'd like to skew towards more affordability for people while also providing that premium level of service. And that's done well. It helps us get to higher take rates. You know, we see it that if we have a city that has people who don't use this service and we're not the best option, then that's to some extent a failure. So we're trying to push deeper and deeper into our communities and be the best option for more and more of our residents and businesses. And that's what we've seen. We continue to grow our take rate in every city. I'll go ahead and share some of our charts here. I've not sent this one out yet.
Is this moving on to the next item there, Roger?
Yeah, the network update.
Okay.
Right. Did you have more financial update stuff, or?
No, I was just making sure. I just heard it announced, so.
Yeah. We're on item 6, I guess. So this is our subscribers by city. Some exciting news. We have Pleasant Grove here coming in recent months. We haven't released a significant portion of that city for sales yet, just really the first footprint and just a sliver of the next. But I think we've been told we're probably 95% done with the build. But until it's done in the area and tested, we can't really sell it and connect people. So we're very close to having a significant portion of that city completed. Syracuse will be coming on shortly. Of the original cities, we're done except for this one very, I'm not even say the footprint is stubborn, but the issues we've run into have been stubborn, and that's in Orem. So we have one kind of final significant footprint in Orem that we're wrapping up. There'll still be a few months before we're done and get through some of these permit issues we've run into there. But with that, we'll be done with the original cities. And so what we have is the construction going on in Pleasant Grove. To wrap that up, we have Syracuse that's actively under construction. We'll have areas coming online soon. Cedar Hills and Santa Clara both they're under very active construction at this point. And then we'll be kicking up in West Haven very shortly. And the others are done. You know, Clearfield is built out. West Point, these other partnerships are done. So things have gone well. You'll see some of the fastest growing on here. Idaho Falls continues to do very well. That's one where we don't have any debt associated with that project. We do get revenue at Utopia for that. We include them in the aggregate here. So that doesn't affect UIA's financials, but it does affect Utopia's. And then we will have Bozeman coming online. We've taken that, we've excluded their numbers in these reports so far, but we have taken over the management of their existing system, which just had some business on there, but we have footprints coming on very shortly in that network. Again, that's one where we don't hold the debt for that project, although we were a big part of getting it in place. And as those customers come online, those will be revenues that we see at the Utopia side of things. But all of that helps. You know, we offset costs by getting revenue growth at Utopia. Also, as we grow at UIA, we pay Utopia for the expense of operating those customers. They have kind of that mutually beneficial relationship between the two. But we include all of that in these charts. It's the aggregate of Utopia and UIA. So anyways, a lot of good growth on the take rate side of things. So this is kind of take rate by city. It fluctuates a lot in the early stages just because we'll put another 1,000 addresses of availability with 0 customers, and so it jumps around a little bit when they start up. But if you were to look at the trends on these, you can see we continue to grow in every city, except for the times when we add a bunch of new addresses. So then everything looks good. You know, we get the question regularly, are you seeing any negative impacts from competitors? Even those cities and areas where we see fiber being built, we still do very well. And there's not really any other options or any other impact when we see wireless or satellite or other services coming in. Fiber continues to win, and also the price and choice and reliability of Utopia continues to win. So it isn't just about fiber. It's really kind of the combination of the reliability, choice, competition, and all of that. And we continue to fare well. The number one spot here, you know, we have, my screen here is blocking things. So Morgan City is the one that's hit highest. That's a little bit of an anomaly because we don't have any Comcast in that city. So they easily came in and overtook the number one spot. It's friendly competition to take rate, but things are going really well. So anyways, I email out this report. I try to do that monthly. So there's a couple other things I need to touch up and update on this thing, but we're largely ready to send that out. We'll send that out all to the board members. If you don't get it, let me know, and I'll make sure you're on our distribution list. And then just one other metric we like to look at, just how many total customers we have. So we'll be hitting a pretty exciting milestone near the end of the year when we break 50,000 subscribers on the system. So right now we're at 48,095 as of the beginning of the month. So we're excited to see that number keep going upwards. So anyways, any questions or concerns about our report or one other point I wanted to make. Sorry, I'm going to ramble on. We are in process of upgrading our core. It's interesting to note, when we started this network, I think the largest links in the network were 10 gig links. So we had 100 meg service connections to homes. We had gigabit to kind of aggregate some of those, and our big backbone connections were these 10 gig connections. Since that time, we've upgraded our core several times, and the latest upgrade is us putting in 400 gig links, so an individual link of 400 gigabits, and our core will be made up of a bunch of those going in between our major interconnection points and data centers. So we're excited to be underway on that project. We have a lot of capacity in the network at 100 gig, but as we continue, pushing 50,000 customers here, we see those and say, well, there's potentials for if there's a failure and things reroute, and we don't make sure that we have headroom and redundancy in the network, that we're able to continue to support that growth. So that'll be an exciting milestone to get that core upgraded with the 400 gig links. And other things, we acquired additional IP address space from actually Colorado Springs City in Colorado, not Colorado Springs, yeah, Colorado Springs, that's where it was. Continue to support more customers and IP addressing needs on the network. And I think those are the major updates that I can think of and that I plan to share. Any questions for us? Trying to make sure we stay ahead of the game and keep things moving quickly and make sure there's no slowdowns or congestion, and that we can support all the latest technology on our system. And it's going very well. So thank you. I guess that's all I have for my update.
Okay, thank you, Roger. Board members, are there any additional items that you'd like to discuss? Okay, well, very good. Again, thank you this morning for taking the time out of your schedules to meet with us. We've accomplished some important things, and once again, want to express appreciation and thank Utopia staff, all the different sectors. I know some of you are involved in these board meetings all the time, but others like Aaron and Jeff and others that are in the background, and the people in the NOC and the people answering the phones and receptionists and so forth, they don't get the recognition publicly that some of you do. But Roger, to all your team, if you'll express our appreciation from top to bottom for all they do, it takes everybody to keep this thing moving in an appropriate way, and you do a great job. So we're all appreciative of that. So unless there's something else we need to talk about, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. We wish you all a great day.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you, Derek. Is there a second?
Second, Jason Sand.
Okay. Thank you, Jason. All in favor, say aye.
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 Bye.
Okay. I'm sure no one's opposed. Well, have a great day, everybody, and be safe. Best to you.